Can you believe that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast? Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Envy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion. And I'm Kinsey Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again? Podcast, period. Or you're ugly. Pretty Empower approved.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance Vlog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
But I'm soon gonna be in fifth.
Good. I'm glad you know the future. That's perfect. Now, why are you excited to be here tonight?
Because I'm just excited.
Explanation. Now, I do believe, tell me the truth, is it true that your dad has a ringside seat but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah.
See, he's awesome. Give it up for Claire. Thank you so much, Claire. High five. Yeah.
Over the last 13 years, I have accomplished a lot of things in my career. I've done some things I never thought that I'd be able to do. I've also been fed a lot of false promises. 6 years ago, I fulfilled a lifelong dream. 6 years ago, I captured my holy grail. And 6 years ago, it was taken away from me. I did not lose it. 6 years ago, it was taken out of my hands. And over the last 6 years, I've done what I thought was the right thing. I have tried so hard to be the nice guy, but I can't get a text back. I can't get an email. I can't get a return phone call. I can't get anyone to answer the damn phone. So now I got to kick a door down. I got to go public because no one's going to acknowledge me otherwise, will they? Sometimes you got to go into business for yourself, don't you? There is a looming cloud that has been over my head for the last 6 years. And there's closure that needs to be had, isn't there? So I want you to listen to me very closely. Carrie Morton. Carrie Morton. I'm issuing a challenge straight to you. Put your NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship on the line against me, whether I got to come to you or you come to Texas and you come find me, because I'm not hard to find. But how about you put that title on the line against the stray dog, 50 caliber Barrett Brown, the man that never lost the championship? What say you, Carrie? Give me my closure.
What say you, Kerry Morton? Here it is on the Pre-Party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Jay Cal, and I'm here every Tuesday to talk to you, that hashtag NWA fam, about all things NWA. We lead up to Power, but before we get there, let's talk some wrestling. Let's talk about Barrett Brown coming out of the shadows. The Stray Dog himself walking to, well, I guess he hasn't really walked anywhere yet, making the challenge out there, putting it out there on the social medias. Kerry Morton actually retweeted that. And he replied with, maybe. Oh, what a burn. Maybe the man who sacrificed, right? The man who gave all that he had to the NWA and then some to become World Junior Heavyweight Champion, only to be told maybe. The man who showed up at the 70th anniversary show for the National Wrestling Alliance, no contract, no promises of opportunity, just a match. One match against Laredo Kid. Amazing match, by the way. If you haven't seen the 70th anniversary show, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go to Fight, order it. Because not only do you get like Cody Rhodes versus Nick Aldis, and not only do you see Willie Mack win the National Heavyweight Championship, but you see our boy Barrett Brown, 50 caliber, have a hell of a match with Laredo Kid. And the NWA and all of its infinite wisdom, like, look, when Billy Corgan bought the NWA, nobody knew exactly what was going to happen, right? Let me put the microphone a little bit closer. Nobody knew the status of the NWA. No one was for sure what was going to happen. Was this going to be another collusion with Impact? Were we going to see a new NWA? Was this going to be some sort of offshoot of what was happening in Impact? Nobody really knew when Billy Corgan bought the NWA what was going to happen next. Hell, we had Tony Givens, formerly of Smoky Mountain and NWA territory. Now the promotion's called Innovative Pro. We interviewed him last week for the Alliance Guys podcast, and he even said, like, we just didn't know what was going to come next. And the first thing that the NWA did as the new leadership was they confirmed that Tim Storm was their world's heavyweight champion, but every single title was frozen immediately. Lineages on hold, legacies frozen. And all but one champion was asked to return their titles. The only person who kept their championship was Jazz. Rightfully so. I still don't think there's anyone tougher in the world of professional wrestling than Jazz. But, the national championship was put on hold. The North American championship was literally sealed. The junior heavyweight title was sealed for some time. The tag titles, again, all in some sort of, obscure closet for the NWA, maybe to never be seen again. However, of course, as the times they kept it changing, the NWA introduced some of these championships back, right? So when Jazz came back to the NWA, of course, she was recognized as such as the women's world champion. Her reign kicked right back off where it left off. So it was cool for Jazz, but not for anybody else, not for the Tokyo Monster Kahagas, not for Mustang Mike, and certainly not for our pal Barrett Brown, who surrendered the junior heavyweight championship to the NWA, did everything he was asked of him, and was hoping for that opportunity that just never came. When the NWA Power debuted all those years ago, back in 2019, it was the land of big men. One of the smallest guys on the roster was, Caleb Conley. And although, yes, he had wrestled for a junior heavyweight title, I don't even know if I'd classify him as a junior heavyweight. And in fact, there maybe one other person on the roster was considered a junior heavyweight. I guess Sal Renaro, you could call Sal Renaro a junior heavyweight. So maybe two other people. But there was no plan for a junior heavyweight division back in, October of 2019. And as the promotion continued to grow with like the likes of Ricky Starks and Matt Cross, there seemingly could have been a junior heavyweight division back in 2020 prior to the pandemic pause. But they did not crown a junior heavyweight champion, not until last year at Crockett Cup. But did they call Barrett Brown? No. Never even gave him an opportunity. Never a shot at Homicide. Not a shot at Kerry Morton. And the thing about it is, it's not like Barrett Brown's a slob, right? It's not like he's a loser. I mean, the man was competing all over Texas. The man's been competing for New Japan Strong and never given an opportunity. It baffles my mind. Like, this seems like a money match anywhere, right? The champion who never lost the belt versus the future legend. The ultimate babyface versus whatever Kerry Morton is becoming. I don't know, man. I know that I don't book the NWA. Billy Corgan made that perfectly clear recently when he spoke to the Post and said, you know what? I'm not letting the fans book the NWA. And that's fine. But I'm telling you, this is one of those opportunities where you could have your cake and eat it too. You could put this match on. It doesn't have to be Crockett Cup. It shouldn't be Crockett Cup. But we're only a couple of months away from what could be the 75th anniversary show in St. Louis. I mean, I don't know that that's been confirmed yet. I haven't heard from the NWA that those are the dates, but we're thinking around August 25th, I think. And I don't know. What better way to test the mettle of Kerry Morton than by making him step into the ring with former world junior heavyweight champion and Barrett Brown? I know Barrett Brown would be up for it. I know he'd love to go to St. Louis and get an opportunity to win back a title that he never lost. And you could say, wait a minute, Jay Cal, the 75th anniversary show, should we really be talking about bringing in talent from outside of the NWA? I mean, look, there's plenty of good junior heavyweights in the division right now. I mean, look, Sauronaro is a great junior heavyweight. You can even say Gags the Gimp could qualify for the junior heavyweight division. Eric, the Distraction Jackson, junior heavyweight. PJ Hawk, highly underutilized junior heavyweight. Lots of talented men in that junior heavyweight division. Alex Taylor, when he's healed, would be, could challenge for Kerry's title. Lots and lots of great talent that are there. But, as somebody who's been following the NWA for quite some time, and I get it, guys. I get it. I'm the dinosaur in the room. I keep bringing up all the old stuff. I just think it's time. I think it's time. I think this would be the good place to do it. Man, I'm seeing some of you guys' comments. I don't mean to ignore you. I just had this in my heart and I wanted to talk about it. But let's get to it, right? I see Sam Retro's in the house. Willie Bowen is here. Terry McDermott is here. Terry says, hey, he should have remained champion once the title was reinstated, but we know Billy doesn't care about doing the right thing. Sam Retro says, man, I wanted to see more Barrett Brown immediately after NWA 70. Same. I thought that was such a great showcase for him, too. Our good friend Poil de Mars in the house. She's lurking, but she also put the dates August 26th through the 27th. Those are the dates that for the Crockett Cup. Your boy Jay's going to be there. I've already made arrangements. Maybe I won't. Maybe I won't be sitting front row, but I'll be there in St. Louis. I'll be there. Sam Retcher says, I hope they announce the 75th at the Crockett Cup. They might. I mean, I think that's the plan. That's the next. I mean, look, if we have a pay-per-view in June and the NWA doesn't traditionally do monthly pay-per-views, I don't think we'll have a pay-per-view in July. So the next one has to be August, which would be your 75th. Unless they decide to do more, which, hey, take my hat off to them if they do. Willie Bone wants me to bring up stuff like don't leave out Rob Conway and Satoshi Kojima former world heavyweight champions and former women's champions Barbie Hayden, Mischief. And when it comes to the NWA before Billy Corgan took ownership, Willie, that's something I never do, right? Because you hear me talk about Barbie Hayden when she was in China wrestling Heather Monroe. That match should have had implications to challenge Jazz, or I believe at that point it might have been old AK Allison K might have been champion at that point. I wanted Barbie Hayden to come back and have a crack at that women's championship, or Heather Monroe, who beat her in China, would have loved to seen her have a shot at that women's title. However, I think Barbie Hayden officially retired from the ring, and Heather Monroe, well, you know, she's been doing other things. Hopefully her future involves the NWA. I mean, her and well, I always forget her name. Oh, she's such a nice person too. Ray Lynn. I think it's Ray Lynn. Yeah, Ray Lynn, I think. I hope. Yeah, I think that should be hopefully that they're part of the NWA going forward. If maybe not at the Crockett Cup, maybe after the tapings, the TV tapings. They're a great women's tag team. They had a great match against the women's tag team champions M95, Maddie and Misa, and I really hope to see them in the NWA more. As far as some of the other names you mentioned, I mean, you're not going to see Satoshi Kojima in the NWA currently. It just, not only is he under contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling, but he also lives in Japan. I don't believe you're going to see too many talents be flown in from Japan to work the NWA, as well as like a guy like Rob Conway, who I would absolutely love to see in the NWA. I also know that he had some opportunities early with the NWA that didn't materialize and might have made that a little bit harder to work through these days. The Jammin' Music Man is here. Oh, that's Jeremy. The Jammin' Music Man is here. I recently did an unpacking video. Go to his channel, check that out. And Poyo says, at least you're not bringing up stuff from the 80s. Yeah, I mean, look, I could do that too, but so I can't talk anymore. Poyo, I feel like I'm the weirdo because I like to think about the days of, you know, Chris Candido being world's champion, or Dan Severn, or the chase that Shinya Hashimoto had with Ogawa when Ogawa beat him in the New Japan Pro Wrestling ring. And some people think it was a shoot, some people think it was a legit match. I don't know. But then you had like Ogawa coming to the States and Hashimoto was chasing him. But people forget that because that was NWA was dead. Really? You had two New Japan talents coming to the States and trying to make a match happen, just never materialized. We eventually would see Hashimoto with the 10 pounds of gold when he showed up in UPW and had an open challenge against Tom Howard, Samoa Joe, KG Sakota. Of course, some of those matches happened in 0-1. Some of them just never happened, period. But it's amazing to me, like how people can kind of dismiss what the NWA had been for the last 30 years prior to Billy Corgan purchasing it. And I mean, even if you just separate Impact from what the NWA was, there's still a rich history between 1993, right? And 2002 when Impact started, TNA started. I mean, that's almost 10 years, right? And none of that, all that's just gone because people don't want to believe. People are fickle. Jammin says he bought a Blu-ray of the AAA versus NWA World Cup pay-per-view. I wasn't at the World Cup pay-per-view. I was at the World as a Vampire tour, so I was not there for that one. But yeah, that show also had a couple of talents from the NWA, specifically Tom Latimer representing the Team World on the men's side, and then of course Camille representing the women's side on Team USA. Natalia Markova was there representing the Team World on the women's side as well. I was not there. I hadn't even seen the show yet, those matches. So enjoy Jammin' Music Man. Let me know what you think of those. Poyo said, yeah, it was Raylan. See, I got it. It took me a minute. Yes, I forgot how to pronounce your name. We had trouble with it last time. I'm going to just guess and say Duluth. That's probably not right. Hey, I don't know if you recall me from a few weeks ago. Do you know who female wrestlers, blonde, like 4'11", had overalls kind of like Sassy Massey and Wow, was on AEW Dark, I think? She had a name on her pants or so. Sorry, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of AEW. I'm probably not the right guy to check that out. But if you remember the match date, you might want to check Cage Match, because Cage Match kind of documents all of that stuff, and I'm sure you can find out who it is. CageMatch.net would be a good source for you. Sam Retro says, it's just hard to, because NWA wasn't on national TV. And I totally get that too, Sam. And that was the genesis of what we do over here at alliance-wrestling.com, was to document that history in between, right? We were in the midst of the World's Heavyweight Championship being released from Impact. The 5-year deal that they had came to a close, and we were talking about it. Nobody else was. We were talking about the tournament that had matches with Finn Balor, that had matches with Mikey Nichols, had matches with Scrap Iron Adam Pearce, Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, Brent Albright. We were talking about that when nobody else was. And I'm still going to talk about that, even when the Lightning One era took over. We've been talking about the NWA for 3 generations of ownership. Not that we were that old or we've been doing this that long, but there was the Pro Wrestling Organization era, right? And then there was the International Wrestling Corporation, and now the Lightning One era. So, yeah, we've been doing it for a while. Jamming Music Man says Hashimoto and Carino had some great matches for that title. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hisa says Howard Brody's bio is a great read for that era between WCW and TNA. I need to pick that up, Hisa. I need to pick that up. I've actually wanted to buy that book for quite some time, and I just have never pulled the trigger for no real reason other than I just haven't. I got to go look for it. Sam says, my first real knowledge of the NWA was from the WCW, then TNA. Yeah, and Sam, I don't think you're in the minority there. I think that's most people. Like, for me, I was convinced that WCW had the NWA become WCW all until I saw Dan the Beast Severn on UFC. I think it was 5 or 6. I don't remember. And he's walking down to the ring with that 10 pounds of gold. I know that belt. That belt was the one that Ric Flair held. That's the belt that Dusty Rhodes had, that Kerry Von Erich had. And then I learned more because I had to go watch, I watched videos. I read up on the web. I read on the websites, and this was before there was a YouTube, right? So you didn't get to you couldn't just Google matches back then. You just had to read stuff. Oh boy. I'm on the Yahoo alt sports section. Oh, look, it's NWA. Cool. I'm in the Grandstand forums on AOL. What's this NWA all about? Let's see. I had somebody tell me that the YouTube for AAA was up for a few months before the NWA English commentary. Deolof. We'll just go Dow because I'm dumb sometimes. Dow. Yeah, it was the Spanish broadcast of those programs were up, not immediately, but shortly after the shows had taped. It took a while for the NWA to do their English dub and edits. They did edit those matches. They weren't exactly the same, and I'm not sure what the huge differences were. I watched it on TV, thought it was fine. I did watch the first day of the Spanish speaking one, and I don't remember it being that much different than the NWA's version, but other people have told me otherwise. And unfortunately, due to circumstances of situations with some of the talent in AAA, they had to axe the 6-man tag match, which was a shame because that was some great heel work by Tom, especially Kratos. Kratos was awesome in that one. But unfortunately, I don't think that match will see the light of day. Willie Bones says Bruce Tharp, who owned the NWA before William Patrick Corgan took ownership of the NWA, had great matches. I'll say he had some good matches. I don't know if I want to say great matches. Like, he benefited a lot from the members. You got to remember, Bruce really wasn't booking any shows. The shows that were being booked were like Smoky Mountain in Tennessee, Saw in Tennessee, and then you had NWA Houston, which was Chris Ronquillo. Fred Rubenstein's promotions in the Northeast for a short time, Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, NWA Coastal. Those promotions were kind of carrying the weight of the brand. And then, once they got the deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling, Bruce didn't promote anything. He was almost more of an on-air talent than he was actually steering the ship. Sam says, I didn't even know about the NWA Upstate in my own hometown. Yeah, I mean, look, you're not the only person that's that way. I grew up in Southern California. I did not get to a live wrestling show until I was into my teenage years. So I missed everything from the Grand Olympic Auditorium. I never got to go to San Bernardino to see those the California Championship Wrestling shows, which were god awful, by the way. But I would have loved to have been able to say that I was there. But that's not uncommon, Sam, and that's just the byproduct of what are the promoters doing to get the word out there. And if you didn't see it, that means it didn't happen. Yeah, Matt Riviera. I liked Matt Riviera. He had a run with they recreated the Western States Heritage title for him to run with. And he actually had a feud with Jeff Jarrett and Vendetta Pro where they changed the title back and forth. I thought I liked Matt Riviera. I kind of wish he was a little bit more open to have been working with the new NWA, but that didn't happen either. Jamming Music Man says, have you thought of a good choice yet for who's going to take the belt off of Camille? Well, Billy Corgan will let you know that the fans are not going to book the NWA. And he cited the source that, you saw that the Star Wars fans have been booking the Star Wars franchise, and you can see the mess that's in. I'm going to say this, guys. I don't need to book the NWA. In fact, I don't want to book the NWA. I just want the NWA to be booked better. Can anyone agree with me on that? Maybe the NWA could be booked better. I don't need to book it. Let's see. Sam says, well, I didn't know that's what I was watching on local TV as a kid. Yeah, there you go, man. There you go. Terry's some controversial comments here. Terry's spitting fire. I think Bruce did it better than Billy. As someone who lived through that, I'll say the best thing, there's two things that Bruce did that was really good for the NWA. Really good. And you cannot deny this. Number one, he consolidated ownership down to 3 people, which eventually became 1 person. And that, I think, was good for the NWA for survival, as anybody who was on the board of directors prior to that transition, they would tell you that they couldn't even agree on the color of ink for pens. So for them to not be able to come to terms on champions and dates and rules and changes and working together, it was best that the NWA consolidated to become one ownership, 1 person, 1 vehicle, 1 vessel. I still think that the NWA suffers from not having multiple promotions to work with, but that they're starting to kind of even go back to that again when we see them. It's been a while, but they worked with Wildcat Sports. We saw them work recently with the Joe Kazana Promotions, and who knows, maybe they'll work with more promotions going forward. They did a lot of stuff with Australia, and now they're working with AAA in Mexico. I would imagine we could see them working with more promotions soon. Willie thinks Matt Rivera should have been world's heavyweight champion. I disagree, but that's a conversation for another day. Sam Retro says, this podcast definitely cleared the history for me. That's awesome, Sam. I'm glad that we could have been help. Terry says that Sal the Pow could, I honestly believe Sal could do a better job than Billy. And that's not to insult Billy. I really think highly of Sal. I know he's playing a character. I know a lot of people don't like the character. Hell, I don't like the character. But that man is A+ in my book. And I bet you if someone gave him the pen to book a wrestling promotion, I bet it would be awesome. Jammin' Music Man says, any news of when the NWA might release any new DVDs? I have not heard anything. I don't know if that's a vehicle that they plan to go forward with further. I know that they did for first season of Power and a couple of the early pay-per-views. I kind of wish they would, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Jammin' Music Man says, I would love to see JR Kratos win the NWA title from Tyrus. Let me tell you, man, Kratos' stock is on the rise. If you guys didn't know this, he's been a part of New Japan Strong all the while being a part of the NWA. In fact, he missed the Crockett Cup in last year in 2022. Yeah, 2022, because he was booked for New Japan Strong. In fact, he's going to be in Japan wrestling this Independence Day for New Japan Strong. And it's a big deal. He's actually be wrestling Tom Lawler, who they used to be stablemates in New Japan Strong as the Filthy Family. I don't know. I don't really follow the product, so I don't know what happened. But I'll be interesting to see what happens. Jamin says Kratos is good in New Japan. Yeah, I mean he's a good wrestler. He was good in Mexico too. In fact, he works locally, well not locally, but somewhat locally in Northern California with a promotion called Pro Wrestling Revolution. And I think he's going to be part of their show in Mexico that's coming up real soon too. I can't confirm that for sure, but I think so. And then Dave Scooby says, for the sameness of Jeremy, no clowns. Yeah, I don't know. No clown. I don't need clowns. Dow says, thanks. I'll have to see if I can find it. A catchy name. I thought she was Sassy Massey, who I confused with Taryn Terrell. I had the phone call to my Organic Hemp. Oh, nice. Organic Hemp. I forgot who it was against, but Sal the Pal had a good hardcore match a while back on a YouTube NWA show. That might have been against the Gags, the Gimp. Hisa says, I wonder what happened to Hawks in the NWA. I haven't heard about them since the New Orleans pay-per-view and taping. We did see PJ Hawks return for, I think it was the 312 pay-per-view. I think he had a few matches there. I think Luke, to be quite honest, and this isn't confirmed, I don't know for certain, but man, that dude's doing so much more in Hollywood. He's a stunt fight coordinator. He does stunt scenes. He's very heavily involved in the TV show. What's it called? Oh man, it's the wrestling Heels. Heels on Showtime. So I think maybe he's just been preoccupied with his 9-to-5 job. But yeah, I really thought that I still think that when it happened live, I thought, oh, that's a great way to burn the crowd, to nice swerve the crowd where I almost called him Mexico's Most Wanted because of Bestia Seis' dad, Damien Seis was in a tag team called Mexico's Most Wanted with Seco Play. Seco Play. Easy for me to say. Anyways, Mecha Wolf and Bestia, La Rebellion, I thought that they should have lost the titles in New Orleans, and I think the rematch should have happened in Mexico. And I think you could have had the titles change hands in Mexico. And imagine that pop, right? Ciclope. Thank you, Pollo. Ciclope. Imagine the pop, right? Imagine the pop if Bestia Seis and Mecha Wolf win those tag titles from Luke and PJ Hawks in Mexico. The titles would have changed hands. It would have made news. Maybe not like major outlet news, but like indie wrestling news, we would have been talking about it. Titles change in AAA. La Rebellion wins the tag titles. I think it would have been a big pop, and I think people would have been noticing, oh wow, they did a title change in AAA. I think it was a missed opportunity. Cyclops, Ciclope. I'm learning Spanish on Duolingo, and I've been told that I speak very well when I do speak Spanish, but lo siento, mi español es no muy bueno. Dow says, maybe that Hawk guy is doing heels again. I was wondering if Hawk had the concussion or Sal the Pal had a match before Gags again. I think it was even an NWA or in that group. I wish I could recall. Sorry, I kind of just trailed off on there. Yeah, I think it was Gags. I don't know. I don't remember. Sal's been around for a while. And I like Sal. People too rough on that guy. Doty says, yeah, Hawk has been on hiatus in wrestling, not just in the NWA, even on his own Wildcat. And then he said, maybe that's the reason Billy didn't put the title on Hawk's Ari, considering Luke will make hiatus. Too bad, they're my favorite tag team. I really liked them. I was kind of disappointed that they weren't going to be at the Crockett Cup. And, oh, yeah, that's right. Poyle brings out, of course, I knew that, too, that Luke plays Stone Cold on the Young Rock. I've known, okay, I can't say I know, because I don't know Luke Hawk, but I remember him back in the day when he was Altar Boy Luke, when he was competing in Florida and in California for XPW. Yeah, he was in XPW, had a few matches in some of the SoCal Indies as well, and really kind of broke through with Wrestling Society X. What? Yeah, I've been watching Luke Hawk for a while. Let's see. And then Dow says, oh, hey, Poyle, you're here too. I remember the younger one had a concussion, I think, in a match. Women had the Renegade Twins and Pretty Empowered 2.0 with Maddie Group changing hands a few times. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Dow, but Yes. Actually, at the last year's Crockett Cup, I believe Luke was injured. I didn't even remember him as Ultra Boy Luke or in XPW until the Dark Side of the Ring. I remember Wrestling Society X for Matt Cross, M-Dog. Yeah, and Josh Prohibition, Euthanasia. I thought that was a great name for a tag team, especially with all the dives and stuff that they took. Look, XPW had been around in SoCal for a long time. And you were like, we had like the divide of wrestling fans and XPW fans, and it was almost like two different things. One of the things that XPW did that was really, really smart is they started using the Revolution Pro guys, not to be confused with the Rev Pro in Northern California, but the Rev Pro in Southern California. That spawned the likes of, well, Super Dragon, Rising Sun, Excalibur, Taro, my own friend Shogun, Human Tornado. That promotion built a lot of talent. I guess none of them really made an impact globally. Super Dragon now is promoting pro wrestling guerrilla shows. There's always talk that he might come back to the ring. He's not that old, but he is very, very injured and had been over the years. But we see Excalibur and AEW doing commentary. We know that the Young Bucks fostered a lot of their history and pro wrestling with Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. But that doesn't happen without Super Dragon first, and really doesn't happen without XPW giving them that spotlight. So there's your little history there. If it wasn't for XPW, we might not have AEW, or at least not as we have it today. Dodie says maybe Billy wants to keep Hawkeye for the future Crockett Cup until he somehow can secure FTR, because I want to see them kick FTR's ass. I don't blame you. I really wanted to see FTR at this Crockett Cup. I was disappointed that FTR wasn't at this year's Crockett Cup. But, at the same time, how much more money would it cost to bring FTR into Crockett Cup? Let's just say that the air was clear between Tony Khan and Billy Corgan. There's no beef at all. There maybe is, there maybe isn't. Let's just say there isn't, right? No problem. Everything's tranquilo, guapo. But you still have to pay the talent, right? You still have to pay FTR to show up. And how many more tickets are they going to sell by having FTR on the card? How many more pay-per-views are they going to sell because FTR is on the card? The diehards, the NWA diehards, are going to buy this pay-per-view no matter what. It's a done deal. There's been 2 Crockett Cups in the Lightning One era, and both of them have been stellar. Excellent pay-per-views. High praise from Jay Cal. Yeah, I like the Crockett Cup in the Billy Corgan era of the NWA. They've been doing a phenomenal job with it. I hope they continue to do that. I hope the pay-per-view we get in a couple of weeks will lead up to the same example that the first 2 presented. I don't know if FTR is going to really pop the buy rate the way like we would hope it would. Would it be worth it? I don't know. And then who's to say, like, if you put them in the tournament, and Poyo mentioned this the other day, and it kind of makes a lot of sense, and I kind of agree with Poyo. You put them in the tournament, and everyone in the tournament is now overshadowed by them. And the talk is, if they don't win, the NWA wasted an opportunity, and if they do win, then it was a foregone conclusion, and we didn't even need to order the pay-per-view. There was a no-win situation for the NWA in this one. And this is the time where I actually feel bad for Billy Corgan, because if he brings in FTR and doesn't put the Crockett Cup on them, then everyone's going to be talking about how that was a wasted opportunity. But if he does put it on them, then it's like, well, why isn't he promoting his own talents? There's just a no-win situation. So let's see some more of your comments. I know Dow is kind of in it in the chat. I love it. The women tag titles, Renegade Twins, won them Pretty Empowered 2.0. Then Maddie with Misa cashed in their title change, winning on like some episode of YouTube. Yeah, every episode's on YouTube. That's Power is a YouTube program. So most of what you're watching, if you're only watching it on YouTube, is going to be Power. I don't think you shouldn't be able to see the pay-per-view matches on YouTube unless someone's doing something naughty. I don't condone it, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it's happening. Dow brings back Messiah, is probably my favorite, who I thought was best from XPW, but he did stuff in CZW after the thumb stuff too. The thing about Messiah, he was never as good as anyone thought he was. I'm being honest. He was okay. He was okay. He wasn't a great promo guy. He did a lot of stupid shit. And I mean, like jumping into thumbtacks and glass and light bulb tubes and all that stuff. You know, the same thing with like Supreme. Like in that era, in that time, in that space, it worked. But you put Messiah in UPW and it didn't draw. You put Messiah in MPW, it didn't draw. You put Messiah anywhere else and it didn't draw. He had to be in deathmatch wrestling. And you know, when you look at talents like that are just strictly deathmatch wrestling, that gets boring for me. I'm not a big deathmatch guy. I would much rather see somebody like, you know, somebody like Sabu, who I know is known for deathmatch wrestling, could actually wrestle. Like he was good. He just liked to do the suicidal, homicidal, genocidal stuff. It was different. You know, a guy like, you know, they had Chris Candido for a while. They had Shane Douglas for a while. They had Vampiro for a while. I mean, XPW wasn't afraid to spend money to bring in some talents. I even think they were supposed to bring in the Dudleys, but that didn't pan out, I think. Okay. Dallas says, I don't think Billy wants to pump money into NWA. Not sure how many he has under contract. Maybe he can't afford FTR more than he has now. You know, so I'm not going to say that Billy can't afford it because the guy, I mean, literally, the Smashing Pumpkins is a cash cow. There are some people who will buy anything Smashing Pumpkins related. Some of those people come to this chat every now and then, and that's okay. They love the Smashing Pumpkins, and they support their band, and that's great. And that money goes to Billy Corgan, goes to guys in the band. He's well off. You know, I think he is about spending money the right way. And not everybody needs to be under contract when you don't even have a television deal. I mean, Dave Marquez has been putting on wrestling events for the last 13 years. He's been on TV in Southern California, if I think about that long. No, I guess maybe it's been about 15 years. Anyways, the promotion that is United Wrestling Network, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, NWA Hollywood, whatever, basically been on air since about 2012. So, okay, maybe about 10 years. Yeah, you know, they don't have anyone under contract either. They have pay-per-views occasionally. They've been on TV for a very long time. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to have talent under contract to have TV. I just think it helps out sometimes. Tony wants the Dawsons. Yeah, they were fun. Willie says, bring in the United Wrestling Network Tag Team Champions of the Crockett Cup. Well, the Crockett Cup is set, guys. We kind of talked about that a little bit last week. You know, the seeds for the tournament have been set. I mean, there's been a few surprise names in there. Like, I look at the Crockett Cup and you know, we have two teams from Mexico, right? Do I not have the other one? Yeah, there it is. Oop, that's not them. That's them. We have the champions in it. Really the only outsiders from this in this tournament, besides the team from Mexico and besides Fodder and Flip Gordon, we have TNT. Oh, that's not TNT. That's TNT. And we have the team of what is that team name? It is Sent to Slaughter, Sean Donovan and Dan Maff. Two guys who, you know, Dan Maff was a part of the NWA for a hot minute when Ring of Honor came in and worked a few dates with them. I believe Dan Maff was in the original TV title tournament, but yeah, not what I would call an NWA regular. And of course, Sean Donovan has never appeared for the Lightning One era of the NWA. But I really think that this Crockett Cup looks pretty good. They have some matches. You know, night one, we're gonna have the main event of Silas Mason challenging EC3 for the National Heavyweight Championship. And night number two, we're gonna have Camille defending her title against Natalia Markova, as well as the finals of the Cup. I mean, these are all good things as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. I'm missing some stuff, but let me get back to this. Dow says he misses the Briscoes, and as he liked them in the NWA. I miss the Briscoes too. Dow says eventually YouTube puts most of those pay-per-view matches on YouTube for the Power USA shows. Not entirely. I mean, they have put one or two matches, but 312 is a little bit different animal. Most of those pay-per-view matches don't end up on TV or on YouTube. Doty says the NWA pay-per-views are greater than Power USA. Yes, even when Tyrus is in the main event. Dallas says, I like Sabu or Hayabusa. From the Mike Awesome over guys like Axel Rotten. RVD is good guys like that in ECW too. Poyo says that's all wrong. And now I wish I knew what Poyo was talking about. Poyo, please tell me where I got it wrong, or if someone in the chat got it wrong. Willie says the Crockett Cup should have invited the United Wrestling Network tag champs. Crockett Cup doesn't really need to have anything to do with United Wrestling Network. Dow says, I only know Smashing Pumpkins really for Whale Wars theme song. I didn't know they were a big draw or rich, etc. Yeah, I mean, Smashing Pumpkins is huge. They are, when you start thinking about as musical acts start to age out, right? Like bands like the Rolling Stones, Kiss, Metallica, bands of that nature are starting to age out. I'm a Pearl Jam fan, and those guys are in their 60s, and there's nothing wrong with being in your 60s, but at some point you can't continue to produce the same music that you used to. And Smashing Pumpkins is kind of in that era of Pearl Jam, but then Foo Fighters, who else? Soundgarden, gone. Stone Temple Pilots, gone. The original acts, I should say. Or Rage Against the Machine, they're not touring. I mean, not that I'm an expert or anything, but like the rock music from what I grew up with, starting to become the more mainstream, not mainstream, but the bigger bands now. Smashing Pumpkins, one of them. Terry says Billy's worth $500 million. That's a lot. I didn't know that much. Dallas says, I see Championship Wrestling from Hollywood on channel here back in the day. Lots of guys went to AEW from there, among other places like NWA. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing with Dave Marquez. He's always been trying to build up the people that work with him. So, I mean, a lot of his guys have gone on to bigger and better. Some of them come back, some of them don't. That's okay, too. Willie says, Fodder and Flip Gordon should be called Flip Flop. I'm all right with that. Does that mean Fodder's a flop? Oh, poor guy. Doty says, I like Dan Maff's return to the NWA. More meat is good for us. I agree. Doty's he's gonna beat that drum for All Japan until it happens, I guess. Really, with the joke of the day, Stay Puft Marshall Man Tyrus should have been defending the 10 pounds of gold and the Crockett Cup. That's not a joke, that's a fact, Jack. I agree 100%. You're wasting our time putting him in that tournament. When that tournament happens, the last time he will have defended that title was on April, I want to say early April like 10th, something like that. I'm out of focus. You guys should say something. And then when's the next time the title will be defended? The next pay-per-view, probably the 75th anniversary. If we're lucky, maybe on an episode of Power. Oh yeah, there it is. Regarding Billy not having money, he has the money. He's just ridiculous how he spends it. Oh, no, not ridiculous. Sorry, judicious. Sorry, Poyo. I did not mean to put words in your mouth. Judicious. And you kind of have to be. What people seem to forget is, how people become rich? They don't spend money. Because, if you have $100 and you spend $100, you don't have $100 anymore. If you have $1 million and you spend $1 million, you don't have $1 million anymore. It's silly. Yes, exactly. No, that's how they stay rich. Right. That's what I was trying to imply. Dallas says he saw the Foo Fighters in Studio 666 movie, but I think a few members died in that. Most of my bands are old or dead too. Yeah, nobody died. Nobody really died until after that, of course, which was tragic. And then Dallas says, I'm thinking Billy has a budget or an amount he plans to spend, though having them on tour with him in concert was a good idea. Look, and here's the thing, right? Because I'm a businessman and I think about business things. Billy Corgan, for all intents and purposes, is the lead decision maker for the Smashing Pumpkins. I think he basically is Smashing Pumpkins, right? So in order for him to go to Australia and do this tour, you have to negotiate contracts. And who paid for the NWA to be there? Did Billy pay for the NWA to be there? Did the NWA pay for the NWA to be there? Probably not. Did the venues where they were touring pay for the NWA to be there? Possibly. And who says how much money that they got paid for that? You know, what if Billy was double dipping that whole time, and every time the NWA wrestles on these concerts, he's getting another paycheck? You don't know, man. None of that information's privy to us, right? We can all speculate, we can all guess, but at the end of the day, the only person that knows how much Billy Corgan has, two people, are Billy Corgan and his accountant. And maybe even Billy doesn't know how much for sure he really has. But yeah, it's smart to be that judicious, as Poyo said. I love that word, judicious. Dodie says, I know Billy has more money, but I hope he got enough money from the NWA too, because we want NWA to keep going. And I think that's why we see this limited version of the NWA, right? Like, and it's not me trying to talk trash. I'm not trying to talk trash. But when you look at the NWA as it is right now, I think a lot of the problem is with the NWA is that, people have these expectations for it to be competing financially the same way that MLW is, the same way that Impact is, and they never will. They'll never have that kind of, well, I shouldn't say never. That's not the plan for them right now. That's not the plan for Billy Corgan or for the NWA, is to spend a lot of ridiculous money. They're going to spend money where it counts, where it's going to help grow the brand. You lock up somebody like Kenzie Page because you know that Kenzie Page is going to be a superstar, and she's only in the infancy of her career. You look at a guy like Silas Mason, who's got every single tool that you need, and he's just a baby, guys. Like, I don't mean he's a baby, but I mean it's so early in his career. Hey, Raluca. That's my pal Raluca there, by the way. Oh, that's Mandy. Hey, Mandy. That's Raluca. Hey, Mandy, agree. Dodie sounds like Billy can afford a booker. It's not a waste of money, but an investment for his company that we all want to see succeed. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's number one, what we have to all agree upon is that this is Billy Corgan's baby. He will determine how he spends his money. He will determine what he's going to promote. And I mean, he said it again, and I keep referencing it. The New York Post, I'm not going to let the fans book the NWA. He's not. He won't ever. He would rather this company burn and fail before he gives the reins to somebody else. I mean, at least that's what I get from him. That's what it seems like. But it's his prerogative. It's his investment. We invest in pay-per-view dollars, but we haven't put a dime in the NWA. Think about it, guys. Think about it. We a lot of us benefited from that all-in package that they had on Fight, where we weren't paying for weekly pay-per-views. I mean, we weren't putting a whole lot of money into this brand. The only asks we get now are for merchandise and pay-per-views, right? TV's for free on YouTube. We haven't put a whole lot of financial investment into this company. So we don't have the right to tell them how to book. We can explain that we don't like the booking. That's what I do every week. We could tell anyone who will listen that we think that the talent is good, that the booking needs some work. But that doesn't change the direction of the NWA. And maybe Billy might hear some of our complaints and maybe change things up a little bit, but he is not booking for you or for me. He's booking for himself. His hope is that you will like what he's producing. And if you don't like it, well, then go watch other entertainment. He even said it as much in the interview with the Post. Hey, I'm not making wrestling for people who think that they can control the booking. I don't know what else to say. Dow says, I think people want the NWA on TV as even Women of Wrestling is on here Saturday, 11 Eastern time. Camille is good for his women. I don't know if Maddie or others are even under contract with titles, maybe Kenzie. Yeah. And I think, Women of Wrestling has got some deep pockets too. I mean, you guys do know that part of the owners is Jeannie Buss, who was part owner of the Lakers. Like, deep pockets there. Very deep pockets. I want to jump to what Poyo's saying, but we'll get back to you, Willie and Dow. Let me explain his point of view. At the beginning of his musical career, a record label told him they wanted Smashing Pumpkins to be this or be that because it was popular. He told them to F off. He had a vision for his band, and either they got on board or he walked. His vision paid off in big ways, and he trusts his pro wrestling instinct the same way. Yeah, that's what they said in the interview, too. And I can respect that. In fact, I admire that. He's going to book this wrestling how he wants to, and that's his prerogative. He paid for it, man. Of course. But at the same time, as a fan, there's two ways we can vote. We can vote with our attention, and we can vote with our dollars. If you're not happy with the way that the NWA runs, then you don't buy the pay-per-view. Bottom line, if you're not happy with the product, don't support it. That's not what Billy's telling you. That's what none of the talent is telling you that. But that's the honest truth. You are a consumer. If you're not happy with the product, you have every right not to continue to support it. I am of the other side of the coin where I want to support the product. I like the talent a lot. I wish the product would be better. And I'll voice my criticisms and I'll voice my critiques in hopes that maybe somebody will listen. But if not, like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. If you think that the NWA is going to bend their knee to your wishes, it's never going to happen. Poyo says Billy is a creative genius. He has a very clear vision, and it takes a great deal of effort to align to his vision. And he admitted in the interview he's a control freak. He is. And that's, but that's okay because, again, he paid for the brand. If Billy Corgan didn't buy the NWA, where would the NWA be right now? Would half of you guys even be watching the NWA? If it was on, a TV channel in Tennessee that maybe they rebroadcast it on YouTube, would you be watching? Probably not. Oh, wow, Poyo, that's a good one. I'm going to play that too. If you think the NWA is going to bend to your wants, that means you think you're more important than Aldous because they collectively admitted it was creative differences that led to that split. Yeah, exactly. Billy Corgan. Look, and let's be honest. What more was there for Nick Aldis to do in the NWA? Like, perfectly honest, another title reign, what was that going to do for him? What was that going to mean? He was never going to be that same position he was in. He was not aged, that's not the right word. He was kind of phased out. By the time they put the belt on Murdoch, they cooled off Aldis in such a way that I don't know if he would ever been the same Aldis. And look, that kind of had to happen. Like, how much could you put the company on Aldis? At some point, you got to do something different. But let's see. I'm going to get back to some of your other comments. You guys have been on fire today. You carry the show. That's what I call it when you guys do make me answer more of your comments than me talk about wrestling. You guys are carrying the show. So Willie says, having Tyrus as world champion is an embarrassment. I mean, look, I don't love Tyrus as world champion either. I really don't. And if there was one thing I could change about the NWA, that would probably be it. But again, we don't book it. Dow says, I originally heard he wanted the NWA to be shown on the WWE Network, so it's more than the original plan, which is good. Corgan, I think, likes to book or run things, so that's what changed. There was talk. There was a lot of talk. Look, I'm not breaking news here. They had negotiations with Turner Sports to be on their affiliation, the Turner Sports channel. But that didn't pan out, especially when AEW landed a spot with TNT, right? Because once Turner got into the AEW business, they weren't going to do anything with the NWA. The plan was to put the NWA on the TBS programming. They were filming in Atlanta. They were like a stone's throw away from the old TBS studios. That didn't happen. Well, that was the original idea. That was the original thought. Maddie is officially contracted to the NWA. She shows it when she signed the contract. Not only that, but having the talent work AEW dark matches, I don't think it hurts the NWA at all. And I don't think AEW or Ring of Honor care that they're under contract with the NWA. It's kind of like, well, we don't really care until we care. If Ring of Honor is like, hey, Maddie Rinkowski, we want you on this show, NWA is always going to be the priority for her while she's under contract. And when there's no priority, when there's no conflict, I'm sure she can work anywhere she wants. Rusty, my guy, says that the fact that Billy's not booking for fans says fans or growing the brand is not a priority. Jay Cal for NWA owner. You know who should really own the NWA? David Marquez. And I know Pollo is probably saying heck no, but like David Marquez was a huge NWA fan. And he still cheers them on, even though he's not associated with it. You don't hear him say anything bad about the NWA. He said bad things about Nick Aldis. He said bad things about Billy Corgan, but he's never said anything bad about the NWA brand. And he has friends that still work for the NWA. Joe Galley and Dave Marquez are pals. Terry says, I'll vote with my money, and I don't like paying for the TV. Yeah, I don't. I completely get that too, Terry. Dodie says the NWA and All Japan are like twins from different sides of the world. Both love big guys, both focus on younger guys, and both accused to be cheap. So give me the NWA and All Japan. Hey, Dodie, if you know anyone in All Japan, put that little bird in there because I would love to see it too. I know we're getting low on time, guys, so we'll try to wrap it up here. Dallas says, I wish the NWA was better too, but I'm happy with when I saw Ray and Heather. So ever so often I'll see somebody I really like. Even Matt Cross was on it. Yeah. I look, the NWA is never going to be exactly what you want it, but they're going to give you things that you're going to enjoy. Look, as critical as I've been about the NWA, I've had a lot of positive things to say, especially about guys like Silas Mason. I'm happy that EC3 is here. Man, I was just watching a clip earlier that I took of EC3 with, in NXT, him and, it was a world title match. It was a 4-way. It might have been Adam Cole and a few other guys from that era. I can't think of their names right now. And I just thought, man, he was so over in Riverside. And that was pre-COVID, but he was so over. And I would love to see him back in that kind of an element. You know, he could be the guy for the NWA if they want to use him that way. Seems like he's going to be more of a heel through his tenure with the NWA, but that could all change too. Let's see. I think many NWA were tired of Nick Aldis. He had his run bringing in Camille. I really like Matt Cardona, but he got injured, so leaving to Tyrus. Yeah, I mean, there's one thing after the other. Only thing Tyrus did that I like was being the Super Bowl. Other than that, he sucks. Let's see. Aldis had that faction that sort of broke up with Tom Latimer and the other Adonis. Maybe I've seen his temper in an interview with WZWA, so he isn't easy to deal with. Look, Aldis didn't like me, and I was a pro NWA guy, and everybody likes Jay Cal. It was him, not me. It's funny that my thoughts about Nick Aldis was I was going to be reporting on the NWA before you were here, and I'll be reporting on the NWA after you're here, and I'm still here, guys. Any owner that says negative things about fans proves the owner does not care. See, Rusty, I don't think it's that he doesn't care. I think he's just said, like, look, we're going to do it my way. And he's been blunt about it. Because he absolutely wants you to care, but he doesn't want you to care about your show. He wants you to care about his show. He wants you to like the show that he's producing. I mean, that's as rock star as you can get, right? Like, I'm going to make music my way, and you're going to like it. And he's been right about the music. Poyle says that she was in an office meeting with the NWA yesterday, and things are moving forward beautifully, and that's all I'll say. It must be exhausting to watch and only think about what you want to be different. What Poyle's saying is a good point. I mean, if you're only watching the product to complain about it, that's not the reason to watch it. And if that was the only reason why I was watching, I'd probably stop watching it. Because I could talk about MLW. I could talk about the United Wrestling Network. Like, this whole show could be done on a Saturday. We could be talking about Memphis Championship Wrestling. The NWA brand is important to me, and I want to see it succeed. And it's just a program for me to nitpick. There are some things that I like about it. There's some things I love about it. I'm a huge Poyo and Silas Mason fan. I know that's not for everybody. I know there's people in this chat that don't like that, but I think it's one of the best things about the NWA right now. I'm a huge La Rebellion guy. I absolutely love this new Kerry Morton that we're getting. I think EC3 is a money guy and could really be one of the don't get me twisted, on the pillars of the NWA. He could be that guy that Nick Aldis was. He could be bigger than Nick Aldis. He was bigger than Nick Aldis. He's done everything that Nick Aldis did, but did it bigger and better. Yeah, so I there's a lot of positive, and I forgot Tom Latimer. I didn't mention Camille, but you all know how much I respect and admire Camille. You've got this Kenzie Page who's like killing it. You know, the TV champion is, like I said, Tom Latimer. There's a lot of positive within the NWA. If you're only looking at the negative, then yeah, that could be exhausting. But there's a lot of positive too. Dave Marquez, baby, that's right. Sam said, would TBS really be okay with the current NWA booking? Well, again, if TBS was in control of it, probably not. They would probably be as hands-on as they're trying to be with AEW. But at the end of the day, number one, it wasn't TBS. It was going to be like Turner Sports, like I guess it's like their sports channel. Number two, yeah, I mean, if that's what they signed up for, they didn't say how much money they were going to invest in it. You know, if the rumors are true and AEW Collision's going to get a $5 or a $1 billion deal for 5 years, then yeah, I'd be hands on too. But if it's just a time slot and you pay for your own time, I don't care what you're producing. Sorry. Dow says, I really like Candy who does the NWA merchandise stuff. Jeez. Raluca, what's for dinner? Man, dinner sounds good right about now. Kikuchi says, I like Marquez, but his brand is too Hollywood for my NWA liking. Yeah, I've heard that complaint before too. Rusty, I agree, Rusty. I missed what Rusty said. Oh, no. Yeah. Okay. There it is. I see it. Dow says, too bad Kylie Ray kind of flaked out, or as she was pretty good but missed like pay-per-view. I don't want to say anything bad about Kylie Ray because I'm one of those people that believe that mental health is important. And I think, oh man, we're missing Power. Power's on right now. I think that you guys should cut Kylie Ray some slack. She has some mental health issues, and I would like to see her come back. But let's go, man. We're running out of time. It's actually, you guys should be watching Power right now. Let's see real quick. I'm a big fan of Camille. I like Kenzie and Kylie, or many of the women like Maddie, even Green, and others who were there. Yeah. Mike says you're not missing much. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I have to go because there's a special interview I'll be doing after this show that will come out, I think, later this week with one of the members of the Crockett Cup. I wonder who. You'll have to stay tuned to find out. Sam Retro says Kylie's pregnant. Good for her. But that's going to do it for us this week. Again, we didn't even talk about the matches tonight. Real quick, you've got the tag team title match, La Rebellion defending against Magnum Muscle. You've got Blake Troop taking on Talos, and I believe there's a Kerry Morton match in there somewhere as well. I don't have the graphic for it. But that's going to do it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Pre-Party. We'll be here each and every Tuesday. And remember, enjoy your W. Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance. Wow. All right.